Season 1 is all about that dental school student or that new dental school grad or that transitioning dentist, pretty much giving the financial keys to success now that you're in a transition period, right? There's a lot of new things, there's a lot of ambiguity, and we want to provide clarity. So if that sounds like you, or if you know anybody that is currently in that phase of life, go ahead and share this with them. And we cannot wait to provide value so that you can transition well, learn, grow, and be ready to take on this new phase of life here at the Generational Dental Wealth Show. So let's go and hop into this episode, and we hope that you enjoy it.
Welcome to the
Generational Dental Wealth Podcast. We're here with Kingsley Ifedi, CPA.
And Dr. Jermaine Ifedi, your doctor's favorite doctor. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. Obviously, I'm able to do the things that I love, get to do, this show with my brother here. So it's always a good day when I get to do this.
It's always a good day, man. It's always a good day.
What about yourself?
Man, last night we went to a cultural event, an Anambra Day. We're from Nigeria. We went to an Anambra Day celebration. Yeah. So that was just a good time being able to see, the youth, being able to see, the older generation. Everybody coming together for a common expression of our Nigerian heritage is always a beautiful thing, man. So just really seeing the next generation. It's just crazy thinking that, we were those kids.
Yeah,
right?
Nah, it wasn't that long ago.
And now, we are those adults now. And now it's our responsibility to pour into those kids the same way that we either were poured into or we wanted to be poured into. So that's always a good time, man.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun out there. It's always been around the family. It's always good being around the family. Even our cousins out there, they were serving food and everybody contributed in their own way, man. So it was fun.
It's a beautiful thing, man.
Awesome. So I think today's conversation is going to be really, really fun.
Yeah.
I think we're going to, be able to touch on a few different opportunities that you may or may not know of. As a dentist, we want to never assume that everybody has the same exact path or career path.
Yeah.
And so we want to just open up that conversation and just kind of figure out what are those options out there. So just kind of kicking it off, Dr. Ifedi, just want to touch on what are some different ways that dental professionals can earn a living and can have a career in this field?
See, one of the beautiful things about dentistry is that it's just so multifaceted. I mean, there's so many different ways you can practice dentistry, so many different settings you can practice dentistry, and that in itself affords us a lot of opportunities. And that's the reason we really wanted to take this opportunity to talk about it, just because sometimes I feel like we operate 100% of our decisions with 10% of information, right? So if there's so many options out of there, why are we just choosing from the traditional or the few options that we've been told about or seen? Right. So that's the point of this conversation, to really hop into all the different ways you can practice dentistry. So let's go ahead and start from the one that most people learned their dentistry from, an academic setting. So you can be an adjunct faculty or full-time faculty and work within the clinical confounds of a school, sometimes either within the building or maybe a community health learning center or within a hospital, whatever it is like that. So we have a lot of career academics who have committed their lives to the pursuit of knowledge when it comes to dental education, and those are the ones who are really doing a lot of the groundbreaking stuff within dentistry. Then
awesome.
Next we have community health. Within those different areas are individuals who work in either a community center or something that partners with a community center. And these individuals have committed their dentistry and their time and their focus to helping the community, really providing care. So their areas, sometimes it can be, but not usually as production driven. It's more of usually supplemented by some type of funding, either governmental or some type of private programming in some type of way. And so for them, their main goals is more of helping whatever population source that they're currently in.
Gotcha. So it's more on the almost pro bono type of work.
Sometimes it can be pro bono sometimes, but usually when it's pro bono, it's somebody else footing the bill. That's what it looks like. Again, it could be more governmental. It could be private source funding. It could just be pro bono sometimes. Like we've done free clinics here in North Carolina. We have something they call Moms Clinics, Missions of Mercy Clinics, where we just go and just do free care. So that also exists as well. Yeah. And then now if we move into more the traditional senses when it comes to dentistry, you have one either working in a private office, either in the form of with a DSO, a dental service organization, or working with a private practice owner, which these individuals or groups of individuals are usually doctors by nature, and you're working for or with them to help build up their group or their particular practice. So that's how a lot of people tend to engage with dentistry straight out of school, which is in that private practice setting, whether, again, DSO or whether it be with a private practice owner. Then we move into the next one. If you decide to go to more schooling, you either go do a residency or a specialty of some sort, right?
Yeah.
From them, those are the individuals who decided to pursue further education in a particular area within dentistry. And that in itself provides a lot of different facets. Those individuals can moonlight, which means while they're doing their education, they can still work with their license outside of the educational setting because they have already graduated and they're already dentists, right? So they can now still put that dental education to work in a private practice, let's say 1 day a week, 1 day a month, while still doing their learning. Some programs allow it, some programs don't allow it. So make sure you look into your specific program to make sure the guidance on that in particular. And then we move into 1099 contracting. These are individuals who really on a full time, they're going from office to office, what we commonly hear as locum tenens. So these are the individuals who, again, they might work somewhere for a day to maybe a year on a rotating contract. One of my locum tenens contracts, I've been working for over 2 years now. So like there are different ways you can engage with different organizations. It just all depends, but you tend to have a lot more freedom within these type of arrangements. You can really it can be created in a way that you see fit usually. You have a lot more freedom when it comes to that, and probably the ultimate level of freedom when it comes to the expressions of what goes on in your mind as far as how the dentistry is dictated is private practice ownership. This can either be done in form of a partnership with one or multiple people, or it can be done in you being a solo dentist owner and owning your practice or practices. So in a way, we've engaged on a lot of different levels within here. I mean, within this, we've done community health. Yeah. We've already done private practice, whether that be partnering with a DSO on a 1099 basis or just working with private practice owners. Now I'm a practice owner, right? I've done 1099 contracting for over 2 years. So in a way, outside of the academia and the residency, I've engaged with dentistry on every other level.
Yeah, I got you. And obviously being by your side throughout that journey, I got to get a lot of insight on the world of, and up until this point, or up until that point, before I knew you were doing a lot of this, I had only heard of travel nursing, or maybe another type of healthcare job that did travel. But when you started talking about travel dentistry, it kind of piqued my interest. I'm like, okay, what is travel dentistry? Yeah. Right. And what does that even look like? So just kind of dive into it. And, what does travel dentistry, what does it look like? What does a day in a travel dentist look like?
Well, coming into dental school and even therefore after, I never heard the term. So indirectly, I had to create the term travel dentistry. And for the first year or two of doing it, I was consistently defining what travel dentistry looked like. Gotcha. And that was just me trying to figure out what are the different ways I can engage with dentistry to make sure, number one, I'm fitting my main goal of trying to serve as many patients as possible. And number two, trying to learn as much as possible because we knew private practice was on the horizon, right? So we need to learn as much as we can, as fast as we can. So travel dentistry just became a solution to a current situation. I didn't even know if it really existed, it can even be done. But over 40,000 miles later, in 1 year, I found out it can be done. Yeah, so just figuring out what travel dentistry could become. I'm going to be honest. A lot of the kinks within travel dentistry, to God be the glory, we've been able to work out. So the ones who come behind us are going to be able to enjoy a completely different version of travel dentistry than I was having to figure out, right? Yeah. So the ones who are graduating now are people who are going to be moving into that traveling realm within dentistry. They're going to be enjoying a whole different realm. Now, let me be very clear. People were traveling to do jobs before me. Yeah. I'm not the first person to do that, right? But bringing it together and coining that term of travel dentistry and trying to combine it with the 1099, the locum tenens contracting, to provide a different level of freedom. I've been excited to be a part of some amazing other travel dentists who have been able to be trailblazers within that area.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for everybody who's graduating, everybody who is currently practicing, who's looking for a different way to practice. It is a very enjoyable way to practice dentistry.
Yeah, and I think just in a general consensus, the whole world is moving towards that Uber model, right? That Airbnb model, that shared space. I'm comfortable with being in somebody else's car or in somebody else's house, because that's just the way that the world is moving towards now.
For sure.
And you know, from what you're saying, it sounds like that's the way even the dental world is moving, right?
Yeah.
How can we get, you know, maybe a dentist in to fill the production that we have for the day, but we don't want to hire an additional dentist full time, right? Maybe on the contract basis, or maybe there's certain procedures that dentists cannot handle, so they contract and have somebody come in to fulfill those, you know, those needs there. So just want to dive into the specifics. You know, how do you go about even starting in travel dentistry? You know, who do you even talk to? What are the opportunities out there? Like, give me the actionable, practical steps that you know you took, or you know that people should go ahead and take in the travel dentistry.
So when it comes to travel dentistry, first you need to realize is this something you want to do? And that's why I say it's so important to understand who you are, especially as a person, and then secondly, as a dentist. So now you can see what you align with and what you don't align with. Some people do not like driving at all. If you don't like driving at all, then this probably is not the area or field for you.
For you, yeah.
Right? So if you don't mind driving, or if you don't mind flying to different places, then this could work for you. The things that I enjoy and the things that I needed from dentistry at the time that I needed, which is see as many patients as possible, because I love my patients. I love being with patients. I just enjoy it, honestly. I love the conversations. I love the stories. I particularly love the geriatric population. I just love the wisdom that they bring and the life that they've experienced. So number one, that to me, I don't mind meeting new patients, right? Like, I don't mind telling my story over and over to new patients and helping them get to a point of comfort and ultimately to a point of a decision when it comes to their overall health care. And then number two, I don't mind changing the day-to-day of my life, right? Like, I don't mind not knowing who I'm going to work with. I don't mind not knowing which assistant is going to be here, what particular day. I'm pretty good with conflict management, so I'm not really afraid that if there's a dysfunctional staff that we won't be able to get everybody turned in the right direction, right? If those are certain things, if you don't like meeting new patients, you like to know who your patient is going into the day, if you don't like dealing with any type of staff-related issues, if you don't like traveling, then travel dentistry isn't for you. Right?
Yeah, and pretty much to summarize, I guess the 2 or 3 things that you're saying is, you got to learn, or you got to love to even drive and move around and be flexible with your schedule. Obviously, if you have a family, different things, it may not be as easy. And then number 2, you have to learn how to build new relationships, because you may be around a different staff member or in a different office on any given day. So,
and I'm glad you summarized it this way, because one thing that I'm a firm believer is your talents and your skills are your talents and your skills. You had these talents and these skills before you went to dental school, and you're going to have them even after you retire from being a dentist. So the sooner you start identifying the talents and skills that are within you, the sooner you can start refining them, right? So me personally, I've always liked people. I've always enjoyed being around people. I've always helping people become the best versions of themselves. I was doing it in undergrad. I was doing it in high school. I was doing it in middle school. So now that I'm a dentist, it gives me a license to do it. But in reality, this has always been within me. And I challenge everybody here again, what are those things that you truly enjoy about yourself, and figure out ways that you can merge it within dentistry? Because dentistry is so malleable. It can shift to whatever your personal strengths are. I feel like a lot of us have been doing it backwards. I feel like a lot of us have been trying to find dentistry first and get our lives to fit dentistry. And that's the reason the rate of unhappiness within dentistry and the unfulfilledness is increasing at a very, very high rate. Because again, we live in a very social media world. How do I fit my life into Instagram? How do I make my reels shorter? How do I make my pictures more brighter?
Yeah.
How do I fit my life into Instagram?
yeah,
right?
I call it the microwave society.
The microwave society.
I want it instantly.
How do we transform that?
Yeah.
How do we instead make Instagram work into our lives? And this is not really Instagram heavy or anything like that. What it has to do is to focus in. How do we get the things in our lives to focus on us instead of us focusing on it, right? Awesome. It's your job to focus on your talents and your skills. And then from there, everything else should revolve around that. So I don't want to get too far down this travel dentistry rabbit hole because we're going to have some subsequent episodes talking about what the clinical side looks like and what does the financial side look like. But if you could just give us a brief overview on what do you tend to see on the financial side when it comes to your 1099 travel dentist clients, what does their financials usually look like?
Yeah, so I mean, as a dental CPA, obviously I deal with a lot of different type of dentists, and especially for our travel dentists, just like what they're doing. We're chasing them around, making sure that we stay on top of, right? Number one, all of the different deposits that's coming from different sources.
Guilty as
right?
charged.
On any given month, you can have income from 5 different sources, and we want to make sure that we're allocating those accordingly on the books and different things like that. Number 2, we always see is we want to make sure that different forms, like I said, I'm not going to hop into it too much, that the W-9s are filled out correctly so that you can be paid out appropriately, that it can be going towards the right entity.
What's a W-9? Real quick.
So a W-9 is pretty much the contractor version of a W-4. Typically, when you get a job, they typically ask you for your withholdings if you're an employee. What do you want to be withheld on your checks? As a W-9, when you fill out your W-9, you're a contractor now, so you don't have taxes withheld from your paycheck. But you pretty much need to go ahead and tell them, what is this money being paid to? Is it being paid to your personal, and then you put your personal Social Security? Or is this being paid to an entity that you've created?
Okay. So that's how you tell them who is being paid.
Who is being paid. So if it's an entity that you want, funds paid out to, then you'll put your business EIN number, and obviously you can get a free EIN number on the IRS website.
Okay, cool. So one of the biggest things that, again, I say guilty as charged because I know it was an absolute mess when you were dealing with my stuff at first, right? Like, how did you sort through all the different payments that will come in? Because again, in a given month, I might work with 4 to 8 different entities. Yeah. So when you're dealing with yours, right, I could give them the advice that you gave me, but I want you to speak from a general perspective. How do you deal with so many different accounts?
Well, first of all, for any business owner, especially, someone who's ripping and running, right, we want to make sure that we're not doing accounting out of bank statements. It's surprising how many, dentists or even business owners come, especially during tax time, they just throw the bank statements down and say, hey, here you go. No, we want to make sure first we set you up on some type of accounting system. There's a lot of good ones out there, but you want to make sure that you connect your bank account to these accounting systems so these transactions can automatically be brought up to make your accountant's job easier.
You just blew my mind.
Yeah.
Honestly, sometimes we don't really realize how privileged we are. Because I've had you in my life so long, I don't even really think to myself that people do use bank statements to do their accounting. Like, you've had me set up with like my own like tax account so long, I can always see profit and loss statements on a click of a button.
Yeah.
But not really realizing a lot of people do use what goes in and out their account to try to figure out how much is left.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Man.
Yeah. Yeah, and exactly. It not only makes your accountant's job a lot more difficult, it shows you that maybe I'm not as organized as I need to be as a travel dentist. And obviously, when you're driving, when you have so much going on as a travel dentist, the accounting should be the last thing on your mind, right? That should be pretty streamlined, easy to go. If you want to know what was your income for the month, you should be able to get that at a snap of a button. So the second thing that we go ahead and do once you're set up on that accounting system is to make sure that every month we are going through what are these transactions. First, we go ahead and look at what transactions have you done in the past, and then we try to categorize it like that. And if not, just like I do some mornings when you're on the road, I give you a call. Hey doc, looks like we had a deposit from X vendor. Yep. What is this? Is this a loan? Is this is this like, you have to explain what it is because your accountant is not always going to be able to catch everything.
Every time I get that call, I think I'm in trouble. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Man, one thing I have to ask you though, right, that I know a lot of people are going to have a question on. My number one question I had for you when I started contracting was, at what point can I buy a car? I don't even want to get into the weeds of it, man, but
yeah.
Go ahead and spitball just a little bit, man.
Yeah, and as a travel dentist, let me just back up a few steps. You are now a contractor, which in the government's eyes, you're a business owner. Even if you file no business LLC or anything like that, you're considered automatically a disregarded entity, meaning you're a sole proprietor. Right, and we obviously tell a lot of our clients we don't want you to be a sole proprietor, so we do encourage them to move into a certain entity. But you are a sole proprietor, you are a business in the IRS's eyes. Okay. That means that you want to operate like you are a business owner. You're no longer an employee, right? And we're not going to get into into it too much, but now as a business, you're allowed deductions before you pay taxes. You're allowed certain business credits. You're allowed to, do some things around the miles. So, like I said,
Listen, I handed him a live grenade at the end of an episode, and I walked off.
Yeah, so, obviously the car, everything like that, we'll get to it as your accountant. You want to make sure that you're doing it.
I'm just teasing. Don't mind me.
But we're going to hop into it. Anyways, this is the Generational Dental Wealth Podcast. We're here with Kingsley Ifedi.
And my name is Dr. Jermaine Ifedi, your doctor's favorite doctor. Thank you for joining us today. We're so excited to see what we got coming next.
We'll see you soon.
Peace.